Hello. Okay, guys, we are live. Okay, guys, so let's begin. And I'm really sorry for the delay. Now we can start this session. And let me just have a look here. I think now I am audible. Okay, guys, so let's begin. And I'm really sorry for the delay. Now, and let me just have a look here. I think now it's audible. Please mention in the live chat. I have checked from my end. I think it must be audible. Please give me a green signal so that I can start. Yes, now it's audible. All right. Hello, sir. Shout out, please. Prince only vlogs. Okay. Hi, Gokul. Hi, Gaming Motive. I think let's continue with the session. Okay. So, in this session, guys, what we are going to do is the logic is pretty simple, as the title suggests, stock market analysis for beginners. Basically, I'm not going to teach you stock market. Just give me a minute, okay, guys? Let me just fix my video. Just give me a minute. Okay, now I think I might be visible and my background is also fine. So now let's begin with the session. First of all, I will explain you the concept which we are gonna use. So for that, I'm gonna draw you some of the few things. And this is, by the way, a Python based session. So we are going to add a Python model to this code, okay, to this project. So it's not just a normal temporary project. So we're gonna have three important things here. If you are someone who is interested in joining a Python model with a backend to a front end like React.js, this video is for you all. Okay, the main purpose would be teaching you how to join these three things properly. Okay, so for example, I'm gonna draw three boxes here. Okay, Then we're gonna jump to our code. So 3 boxes here, just like this. Okay. The logic is pretty simple. I'll just give this blue and this would be our front end. Okay, so we are going to make our front end in React.js. All right, React.js front end. And also, guys, we are going to make a backend in Python FastAPI. Okay, so that we can send requests from front end to backend, like a news, stock market news from front end to backend. And from this backend, we are gonna forward the news. Okay, so from front end to backend, I sent a news. Okay, let me also give it a label here so that okay, let me just give a label here. This is our backend. All right, and then this final box is our machine learning model, which we are going to use. Okay, so I will tell you how I actually made that model. Don't worry about that. So you can make your own model with some more adjustments, better models in future. So this is a ML model. Okay, so this would be a machine learning model. So what we are going to do is we are going to for example, our news is what? For example, our news is this is suppose some positive news. Okay, some positive day. Suppose the news is this. Okay, right. So this would be a positive news and a positive day. Okay, let's make it green. Okay, this is a positive day. Suppose this is a news coming from some sources. Okay, so from our front end, we're gonna type this or we're gonna get it from anywhere. Okay, and then this is going to be sent to our backend. Okay, this is going to be sent to our backend. Okay, then finally this reaches our model. Okay, machine learning model. Learning model would simply return two values, either 1 or -1. 1 would be for positive news, -1 would be for negative news. You can add more moderation, what type of news it is, good, bad, worst, and so on, by using different type of data sets. Right now I had a data set which had two types of news, positive news and negative news. Okay, so I trained my machine learning for identifying positive news and negative news. Okay, and it would be really great if you have a very large data set. I use a smaller data set so that I can create this project and as well as this tutorial. And in future, if you have your own data set or you get it from Kaggle, a better data set, the same approach can be used there. There is no issue in that. Okay, so approach is always the same, right? So here, guys, we have the news in our model. Okay, our model has two options. One option would be positive, another option would be negative. Okay, one option would be positive, one option would be negative. Okay, so assuming that this is a positive news, okay, our model would predict positive. If it was negative, our model would simply predict something like -1. Okay, that's how it would look. Okay, suppose our model predicted 1. Okay, suppose our model predicted 1. Okay, so this prediction score, like I'm gonna assume that this is my prediction. Okay, this is my prediction. Okay, 1. Suppose this is my prediction. So model would simply send this response to our backend. In backend, we're gonna have APIs. Suppose there is an API which is named as, let me just name it as slash predict. Okay, slash predict API takes request from frontend, sends it to model. Also slash predict API takes response from the model and sends it to my front end. So my front end would now receive what? My front end would simply receive that, hey, the news is positive. So my front end would simply receive one. And if we get one, we can show positive. If we get -1, we can show negative. Okay, this is how the architecture would look like from above. I hope now you know the concepts, how we are going to connect these three things. This is very important because not only for this project, you can actually use it for other machine learning projects as well. Okay, so very important, very important. Okay, so now if you got the overview, now we are going to set up our project really fast. Okay, I'm not going to train the model because this is gonna take 15-20 minutes extra, but I'll teach you how the model would be trained so that you can train it on your own. And also guys, when we end this session, I'm gonna provide you the complete source code of this video. Okay, so I think that looks fair. And we have some people on the live chat. Hi Jilesh. Hi Rameshwar. Guys, if you have any doubts, please tell me in the live chat. Anything related to machine learning, web development, or other concepts you like. Okay. And before moving on, I would like to tell you, first of all, I would like to tell you one more important thing, that is we are having, let me just open it here. Okay. So you can actually check out the description. The link is available. This is an initiative by Accenture and GeeksforGeeks. So here you can see basically here are some of the details. Hack the future, a Gen AI sprint powered by data. So it's the opportunity to unleash your creativity and win amazing prizes. So you can collaborate with your peers and industry experts to solve real world challenges using cutting edge data and AI technology. So you can just register here and read more deep info about it. So you can see that winning team would get this much 80,000 approx, and then first runner up, then second runner up. You can just read more details about it. Okay, you have time, you can just read more details about it. And if you have any doubts or queries about this, you can ask me in the live chat also, or in the comment section also in future. Okay, so the registration link is available in the description. Please check out this link. All right, so now guys, we are gonna continue. And the first thing which we are going to build is the model. Okay, so we are going to follow the reverse approach. First we are going to build the model. Okay, then we are going to create the backend. The backend and the front end part is pretty simple. The main task is the model, because what you are actually going to do is, suppose this is our query. Okay, this is a query. That's what we call query or sentence or words. Okay, whatever you call it. From here, we are going to extract some extra keywords, like positive means positive. Okay, good means positive. Bad means negative. Okay, so these are type of things which we are going to like extract from our data set. Suppose in stock market terms, there is a term named as bullish. Bullish means positive. Okay, the stock is gonna go up. Bearish simply means stock is gonna go down. Okay, so these are some words which we are going to extract from our data set. Okay, so our model would be trained accordingly, right? So it's gonna be pretty simple. It's just going to be some set of newses, lots of news, and from there we are gonna extract. Automatically the model is gonna extract important words. Okay, using tokenization technique, which we are gonna use, so that each word is converted into a token, and what word has more impact. If positive has impact on the sentence, the news is positive. Okay, and so on. Okay, so these are some basics. And now I'm going to show you what kind of data set we are going to use. Don't worry, I'm going to share you the data set also. Okay, so this is a data set. Here you can see this is the data set which we are going to use, and I'll provide you the link in my GitHub repository also, from my GitHub repository also. Or what else can you use is, you can just simply search Indian stock market sentiment dataset. If you get Indian stock market dataset, please share it to me also. I didn't find a very good dataset which also tells the sentiment, so I actually use this random one. So you can just go here. Okay, and it's from this creator Yash Chaudhary, so you can just check out this one. And here, if you want to just get an overview of any type of data set in Kaggle, okay, lots of data set are available here. So there are lots of data set. You can see that in this data set, you can see that we have a kind of a CSV file. Okay, an Excel sheet which has the news. Okay, the first column is for the news. Okay, second column is for the sentiment. Again, here you can see that this data set is pretty much biased because positives are more, negative is less. So you can get a more better data set which has equal number of positives and negatives. You gotta find it yourself. But I found this one, an existing one, because yeah, it takes a lot time to create your own data set, maybe months or years. So instead of that, I'm using an existing data set, right? But yeah, this data set is not that good because of the reason I told you. Here you can see negatives are less, positive is more. So your data set, your machine learning model would be trained for positive data more. Okay, so this is something which you must keep in mind. So, but yeah, we are gonna work on this one, but same approach can be used for better data sets if you get in future. Okay, so here what you need to do is just sign up and it's free. Okay, just sign up and then you can just download this data set. Okay, so you just need to download this. So download this data set. दोबारा समझाना please. Gaming motive, can you please specify which part you didn't understand? If you didn't understand some part, you can rewatch this live video also. This video would be available in future also. It would be available in recorded part also. But if you feel okay, Harshal, I feel this part wasn't taught well, so that I can repeat that part. Okay, so please specifically tell me about the part. Okay, or else you can rewatch this video also. It would be available in future. Okay, so I think till now everything is clear. We are able to download the data set. Okay, now guys, pretty simple. We are going to use the data set. Okay, just a minute. Yes. So here you can see that this is my data set. And by the way, I have trained other machine learning models also. Like you can see, I was training a model for deaf and blind people, a kind of machine learning model which identifies, okay, so this sign means W and so on. Okay, this sign means L. So I was just training a model for that. And which site is this? It was Kaggle. Kaggle. Okay, so I'll extract this data set. Okay, just need to extract it. And after extracting, you can see that I got a folder. Okay, this is my folder. Okay, so now guys, this is my folder. This is my data set. Okay, so I'm gonna just copy this, copy, and I'm gonna go to this PC and go here. And guys, here what we're going to do is I'll go to Geeks for Geeks, and here we're going to create a new folder. Okay, and I'm just gonna name it as stock market sentiment. Okay, sentiment live. Okay, so I'll upload this source code whenever we end this session. Don't worry about that. And also I'll share the GitHub repository. So from there you can get all the things. Okay, including the database also. Data set is very small, so I can share it in GitHub repository very easily. Okay, so here guys, right now the folder is empty. I need three folders. Okay, three folders are there. Okay, what's the first folder? The first folder would be for front end. Okay, second folder would be for what it would be for backend, and third folder would be for what? It's going to be our model, machine learning model. Okay, right? So I think now it's clear. Just give me a minute. Okay, guys, so before continuing, just make sure you have VS Code installed in your computers. Why VS Code is needed? Like you can train a machine learning model using Google Colab or different services. But why we are using this? Because this can work for any PC. Okay, you don't need to have knowledge of Google Colab. Mostly people use VS Code, so that's why I believe that yeah, it's a very good choice to use VS Code, right? So I'm just gonna open this and actually the model folder for now. I'm just going to open this model folder in Visual Studio Code. Okay, right? This is my model folder. and I'm gonna paste my data set here. So you can see that this is what we copied and we have pasted here. So you can see it's kind of a CSV file, not that much visible in our VS Code, but this is just a CSV file, or you can call it a file which is Excel sheet, okay, which has two columns, lots of rows, but in every row we have two columns. Okay, first would be what? First would be the news. Okay, first would be the news. Second column would contain the sentiment, positive or negative. Similarly, you can see this is a news. Okay, this is a news, and the sentiment is this. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to provide this data set to our machine learning model, and machine learning model would simply try to understand these things. Like for example, let's take this news. Okay, let's take this news. You can see that the sentiment is positive because of one. Okay, at the end, the news is what? It contains some text like bullish, high, and so on. Okay, so these type of words would be extracted and would be noticed. Whenever these words occur, the news is positive. Whenever this word occurs, news is negative. Okay, that's how my model would be trained. Okay, so just like human beings, if I have a very large sentence but it contains bullish, positive, and these type of terms, it automatically comes to my mind, yeah, this is positive because I am trained like that. I know that bullish means positive. Okay, that's what we are going to do for our machine learning model, right? So let's try this. And by the way, we are not going to tell it bullish means positive. The model would automatically identify it. Bullish has occurred lots of times, and whenever bullish has occurred, it's positive. Okay, that's what the training means. Okay, that's how we are going to train it. Okay, right. All right. So now, first of all, we need a file to process this data. What do you mean by processing? You can see that it has some unnecessary terms like, for example, this sign, okay, or some extra comma, full stop, and so on. These some minor things into every row. Okay, so we are going to remove that. That's what we call data filtering. Okay, we are going to filter our data in pretty easy steps. Okay. All right. So I'm going to write the code and explain you as well, not in very depth because I'm going to assume that you know machine learning and so on. But I'm going to explain you what each file is doing, what this part is doing. Okay. So I'm going to call this file as preprocess data set.py. Okay. So yeah, Python must be installed, and I would say you need to install Python version 3.10. Let me just show you in terminal. Python dash version. So yeah, I'm using 3.8, so you can use 3.8 also. Okay, so TensorFlow or other popular packages, most of them are supported by 3.8. Not the latest Python, because latest Python does not support TensorFlow, so there is no sense of using it for machine learning, right? But yeah, I'm using this version, so just think accordingly. Okay, so other packages would be installed accordingly. You can check out the pip version also, and so on. Everything is installed accordingly. Okay, this is the Python version I am using. Okay, I think number one doubt is cleared, because if you are using any other Python version, things might be different. The versions of the softwares or packages which you use would be different, right? So yeah, I'm using this one, and this is the method. Okay, so first of all, we are going to make some imports. So we're going to use pandas, ray, NLTK, and then stopwords, word tokenize, and word net limiterizer. Okay, so basically the purpose of these is pandas actually handles the CSV file which we are going to use, stock market stock data.csv. Then we have ray, which is regular expressions for cleaning text. Okay, we're going to use this for cleaning our text. Then NLTK is basically natural language processing, for its use for natural language processing. And stopword actually removes common words like is, the, etc. Word tokenize splits text into individual words. So for example, you have a sentence of 10 words. So we're gonna get 10 words extracted from the sentence. Okay, then we have lematizer, so it converts words to into their base forms. Okay, lowercase and so on. Okay, so that's what we're gonna use. All right, just a minute. All right, so now after this, guys, we have done the first thing. Okay, we have done the first thing. Now we're going to download some NLTK resources. Okay, so you just need to use a command NLTK download stop words T and WordNet. Okay, so these are some files used for stopping words, word tokenization, and lemmatization. Okay, so these are files needed. Okay, so automatically it would be downloaded once you run this command. Okay, whatever error you are facing, you can tell me in the comment section, or you can also use other AI based tools. Also, you can use ChatGPT or Bard. You can just tell I'm not able to install this, and ChatGPT would give you a very good suggestion. Okay, so yeah, just a quick suggestion to you all, guys. Okay, so this is used for downloading important packages for this part. Okay, that's what I explained you. Okay, then guys, we are gonna read our CSV file. So I'm just gonna say df bd dot read this path. Basically, okay, I think I should say I have a dataset folder, and inside this I'm pasting it. Okay, so inside dataset folder we have this. Okay, so that's what we are reading. Okay, that's what we are reading. Fine. Now, guys, after this, we are gonna clean our text. Okay, so we are gonna clean our text. So I'm going to explain you this function. So this function is basically like it converts. First of all, this simply means you're converting to lowercase. Okay, I've already written that. And this is going to remove URL. Suppose you have www or HTTP and somewhat things like that. So I'm gonna remove that URL. Okay, so it might contain links that are not useful. Okay, what will you do with the link? Okay, what does that link mean? Positive or negative? I don't know, right? So yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, so links are not useful. We're gonna remove links. We are also going to remove special characters. Okay, we are also doing tokenization. That means making word by word. Okay, getting word by word. Okay, so it splits the whole sentence or text into small words. Okay, tokenization. And then what we are going to do is like we are going to remove stop words like is, the, and so on. Okay, then this is happening because of what? This is happening because of NLTK. NLTK has some specific set of words like is, the, it would be identified and it would be removed. Okay, that's what it does. Okay, then we have lematizer, so it's converting the words into base forms, like for example uppercase to lowercase. And suppose the word is like running. Okay, so instead of running I'll make it run. For example, I have other word like bearish, so I'll make it bear. Okay, things like that. Okay, so lematizer does the job for you. Okay, so yeah, this is it. Now after this, we are just joining all the tokens together. That's it. So this is a function which we are going to use in future later, right? So now guys, after this, we are going to apply the cleaning function. Okay, this function which we created into our data set. Okay, so what we are doing is df cleaned text. What we are doing is in this CSV file, you can see right now we have two columns. One column is for text, other column is for sentiment. We are creating a new column named as cleaned text. Cleaned text. Okay, so what I'm doing is look for text column. Okay, look for text column, apply these things and store it inside cleaned text column. So that's what we are doing for each row. So each row now would be using this function one by one, and we are gonna get a cleaned text. Okay, we are gonna get a cleaned text. Okay, once this is done, we are going to save this. Okay, we are going to save this. Okay, so we are going to save is first of all, we are again going to convert this to CSV, and this would be the new file in which we are going to save our data set. And after this, you can see I'm just printing that yeah, data set is saved. Okay, once you will do this, okay, once you will do this, you would finally run this. Okay, you can finally run this. Okay, and once you run this, like you can see that it's gonna run, and it's gonna simply create a new CSV file here inside this, like inside the dataset folder, and it's gonna save my CSV file. Okay, I'm directly gonna do it because this is gonna make my PC a lot slow. Okay, so you can see, yeah, it's already done. So you can see that what it actually did is, now in the new data set we have cleaned the text. Okay, we have cleaned the text. So here you would see, let me just, you can see that this is what clean text looks like. Kicker, watch list, excite. Okay, you can see a clean text looks like this. Okay, you can see it removed extra words on my is extra word. I don't need this. Okay, so it removed the extra words. That's the benefit. Okay, so we have actually pre-processed our data set. Okay, we have actually pre-processed our data set. Okay, now guys, after this, what we are going to do is we are going to create a file for training our model. Okay, now we are going to train our model. So train underscore model dot py. Okay, so this file would be used for training our model, right? All right. Now, guys, after this, in this part, we are going to train our model based on which data set, this one or this one. We are going to obviously use this data set now, which is clean, okay, which is better. All right, so now here what we're going to do is, again, we're going to make some imports. Okay, we're going to use pandas, pickle, tqdm, sklearn, and inside sklearn we have various ml algos. Okay, so pandas actually handles, again, writing csv operations. Okay, doing csv file, handling csv files. And pickle actually saves and loads our trained model. So for example, my model needs 10 days of training. Okay, and right now today what I'll do is I'll train my model for 1 day and save it progress. Okay, so that I can start training again from day 2 and day 3 and day 4. Okay, in continuation. I don't need to start again from scratch. I don't need whole continuation of 10 days. I can keep a pause of 1 day, save it into a pickle file, then continue and then continue. So what it does is, right now suppose I have data set which is biased. Okay, but I want to train a model. So I'll train a model. But suppose tomorrow I get a better data set. Okay, better data set, which is obviously in this format, obviously in this format. But yeah, I got a new data set which is not that biased. So what I'll do is I'll just modify my model. I don't create things from scratch. I'll just modify my model, modify the pickle file. Okay, train it further. Okay, so that's the benefit of pickle. Okay, so then after that we have tqdm. So it basically gives me the progress bar. We are gonna have number of epochs. Suppose we have 20 epochs, so it's gonna show me 1 of 20, 2 by 20, 3 by 20, and so on, like whenever each epoch is trained, so that you can say check your progress in the terminal. Okay, if we don't use this, what we're gonna see is we're gonna see blank in our terminal and we're gonna get confused, is it working or not, how much time is remaining. So tqdm would be used in our case. Okay, then guys we have sklearn. So sklearn, this part actually converts our text into numerical values. Okay, then we are gonna have a test train split. So we're gonna split our data into testing and training. And then we have logistic regression, a machine learning model for sentiment classification. Logistic regression is very popular in that case. There are other ML models also, but I have used logistic regression. Okay, then we have metrics, so it evaluates the model performance. Okay, so these are the things which we have imported. And then after that, again, we're gonna read our CSV file. Okay, and then we're gonna extract the features, and also like my X would be clean the text. Okay, I'm just filling any column, any value. Suppose if the specific index contains blank or any values, so I'm just making it blank sentence. Okay, so that the model is not, you can also remove that part also. Okay, this is up to you. I'm just keeping it blank for now. Okay, so now after this, one more thing is sentiment. So sentiment would be the other column. Okay, the sentiment column. So we are getting this column as well as this one. Okay, so we have two columns now. Okay, we have two columns. Okay, X and Y. Now we are just gonna say that X is for our news text and Y is for sentiment, 1 minus 1 and so on. So we are gonna convert our text into TF-IDF. Okay, so what is that? So TF-IDF actually stands for term frequency inverse document frequency. It converts text into numerical format. Okay, numerical format. And then we have Max feature, so it simply means we are using 5,000 words. Okay, we are using top 5,000 words for training. Okay, top 5,000 unique words for training. Okay, and then we are gonna show a simple progress bar. Okay, now after this we are gonna split our data set into test and train. Okay, so we have x train, y x test, y train, y test. Okay, so we have x train for clean text, x test for clean test. Okay, similarly y train for sentiment, y test for sentiment. Okay, so we are splitting our data into 80-20 ratio. So x train would contain 80% of this, X test would contain 20% of this. Similarly, Y train would contain 80% of this. Y test would be containing 20% of this. Okay, so that's how the data is split. Okay, and randomly I'm shuffling things. Okay, so it actually ensures consistent values, and we are just splitting our data into 80-20 ratio. Okay, now we are just gonna train our model using logistic regression. Okay, so we are just gonna say logistic regression, and then we are gonna fit in our X train and Y train values. Okay, it is gonna fit in our values to our model. Okay, that's it. So we are gonna say that the first row of X train must match with Y train, first row, second row of X train must match with second row of Y train, and so on. So we are training X train along with Y train. That means if I give this input, output would be this. If I give this input, output would be this. If I give this input, output would be this. That means if this is the news, positive. If this is the news, negative. If this is the news, negative. That's how my model would be trained. Okay, so yeah, that's how we are providing it, and it processes sentiment on test data and calculates accuracy to print the accuracy. Okay, classification report. Okay, so you'll get the F1 score, by the way, after this. And after this, after training this, you are gonna simply save the model. Okay, and also the vectorization. So we basically gonna have two things. Okay, so it's gonna be, first of all, we are gonna have the model and the vectorizer. The vectorizer is nothing but the TF-IDF vectorizer, and which we used. Okay, which we use, that's what we are gonna save. Okay, so some of our words we are saving. Okay, so unique words which we got. So vectorization, vectorizer actually throws the numerical values of the words and their sentiment. Okay, so that's how vectorizer is used. Okay, so that's how our model would be trained. And once you run this, okay, once you run this, let me just try this. And you can see that model is trained since the data set was very small. So it's gonna train our model, and the model would be trained very easily. Okay, so right now you can see that it stopped because I think I missed out something. Let me just check. Okay, I did one thing. I missed out one thing, which is pretty simple thing. We are gonna evaluate our model. Okay, we're gonna evaluate our model. Okay, y predict. Okay, and we're gonna provide x test. Okay, and we're gonna match y predict with y test. Okay, with y test, y predict with y test. Okay, so once we created the model, we trained the model, and then we're gonna check our model. Okay, we're gonna check our model. Okay, like that. All right, so after this, what we're gonna do is we are gonna get the model accuracy and the F1 score with the help of that. Okay, we're gonna get model accuracy and the score. Okay, so yeah, accuracy would be coming from a function which is accuracy equals accuracy score, y test, and y predict. Okay, so we're gonna just provide these two values. Whatever we get from this, we are gonna compare it with y test. Okay, if the result of this matches 100% with y test, that means our model is 100% accurate, like that. Okay, so that's how it would work. And I think now let's run this, and you can see that our model would be trained. The data set was very small, that's why it trained very fast. But yeah, if you have a very large data set, it would take a lot of time for that, and all the progress would be shown here only. Okay, so our model accuracy is 0.7 since the data set was biased. Okay, positives were more, negatives were less, that's why. So if you have more better data sets, you can obviously be better in the training part. Okay, but yeah, this is a short way you can train the model, and our model is also trained now. I think now you got the approach, the approaches which we used. Okay, now guys, we are gonna do one thing, that is we're gonna test our model. Okay, the first thing which I always do is test our model. Suppose I don't want to build a backend, or I don't want to build a machine React.js frontend. I just want to test this model. How am I gonna test this? Okay, so again, I'm gonna import these things. Okay, then I'm gonna load a pickle file, whatever file I provide. I'm gonna load that file. So you can see we have pickle files, sentiment model, and TFTF vectorizer, which we created. Okay, and then here we are just gonna provide it to our predict sentiment. So here you can simply see I'm loading these things. Okay, then I'm gonna transform my news text, whatever we provided, okay, into a vectorizer, into some small tokens and numerical values, and I'm gonna send it to my model, okay, to predict things. Okay, if it's positive, I'm gonna get 1. Okay, if negative, sorry, if I get 1, I'll say positive. If I get -1, I'll say negative. Okay, so for example, I provided 2 news: good growth ahead, and another news: loss, downtrend, and so on. Okay, so in this case, let's see what actually happens. Okay, so our model is already available here, sentiment model PKL, and the vectorizer, that is the numerical values of the words, important words. So here you can see the news is positive and negative and so on. So you can test your model here by just changing the sentence here for better accuracy. You can just check your model again and again. You can train your model and then use this test model file to test your model again and again. Okay, so this is a pretty much overview of the model part which we have used. Now guys, what we're gonna do is we are gonna start the front end part. Sorry, we are gonna start the back end part. So let's go to the back end part. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I am just going to open this with VS Code whole folder. Okay, complete folder, right? So here in the backend, right now, we don't have anything. So we are just gonna create a file named as main.py. Okay, main.py. So this is just going to be a fast API backend. Okay, fast API backend, which would be useful for calling our model. So here, first of all, you need to have some basic knowledge of a backend, how backend works. We simply get APIs from frontend to this backend, and backend is connected to a database or a machine learning model like this or some other service. Okay, so that's the purpose of our backend, to keep things secure. Okay, so that's what we're gonna use. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some imports. We're gonna make some imports. So first of all, we're going to import FastAPI, Pickle, PyDantic, and FastAPI middleware course. Okay, so we're going to use these things, and okay, so if you don't know what is FastAPI, so FastAPI is kind of a Python framework building APIs. Okay, so you can easily build a backend. If you don't have that much knowledge of backend, then also you can use this very easily to get started with backend. Okay, then we have Pickle, which is used for loading our trained model, which is available here. Then guys, we have PyDantic base model, which defines the expected input format. So we're going to use PyDantic later. I'll explain that. And then we have course middleware, which allows my front end, React.js front end, which is in localhost 3000, to use this backend, which is suppose in localhost 8000. So for authentication, for verification that this front end can use this backend. Okay, just for authentication, we use course. Okay, course is important. Then guys, we are gonna have this fast API instance, and also we are adding some course rules. That means I'm saying any front-end URL can access this backend. And also I'm allowing all methods: get, post, update, delete, whatever methods we have, we're gonna use all the methods. Okay. So course is enabled that a front end can use. Any front end can be used if it's in localhost 3000 or 3001 or 3002. Any front end can simply use this. Okay, that's the main purpose. Now guys, I'm gonna load my pre-trained model and also my vectorizer. So for that, I'm simply saying, first of all, create a method for loading pickle files, and I'm simply using this method for loading this and this. Okay, I'll make sure I'll copy one thing from here, copy these two things, okay, and paste it to my backend. Okay, so these two files are important from the model. So you can see that I have simply imported these two files now, okay, into my backend. Okay, so we define a helper function, load pickle, and we simply use that helper function to load the pickle files. Okay, now after this, we are just gonna create a input data model. Okay, we are gonna create an input data model so that we can simply verify that like it's kind of a class. Inside that, I'm going to say whatever text I'm going to provide, it must be string. Okay, so this would be a class. Okay, that's what I have created. Okay, so it would be a class, and whatever text I provide, it must be a string. Just I've defined the type, data type. So it's very useful. Suppose if someone provided numerical values or something else, so in that case the error would be sent directly. We don't send things further to our machine learning model. Okay, so it saves a lot of cost. That's why class is important here. Okay, suppose if someone provided a string, this model, so sorry, this class is passed. Okay, it's working, it's a string. Then I'm gonna send the string to my model. If it's not a string, if it's a number, then I'm not going to send it to my string, to my model, right? So whatever happens, it's gonna be called, the class is gonna be called for verifying the input which we get from front end. Okay, that's why it's important. Now guys, we are gonna create a very simple API, very simple API. The API name is predict. It's a post method. Why it's a post method? Because we are getting something from front end. Okay, from front end we need to take the text and send it to backend. So for that we use post method. Okay, and then we have a function which is predict statement. So it basically like I have written a short overview which basically predicts positive and negative. Okay, now here I simply say again, convert the text which you got, just what we did in the test model, right? That's what we did in the test model, right? Okay, that's what we did in the test model. Similarly, we are converting my text and extracting important words and converting them into numerical values. That's what my vectorizer is doing, and sending it to our model. Okay, sending it to our model. And then after that, we are simply going to return the sentiment. If I got 1, positive. If I got -1, negative. Okay, that's how it actually works. All right. Then at the end, you're gonna get this response in front end. Okay, you're gonna get this response in front end. Now, finally, I set up my backend URL. So I'm simply gonna say in main, I'm just gonna use UVCon, and UVCon is gonna run on port 8000. UVCon is used to run my backend, FastAPI backend. That's it. Okay, now to run this, let me just simply open my terminal, open an integrated terminal. Okay, and here, guys, I'm gonna specify Python UVCon. Okay, Python m UVCon main. Okay, so main is the file name. Okay, so make sure you're in the backend folder. Okay, and then I have targeted the main file, and I've also enabled the reload feature so that if I change anything here, automatic reload happens. Okay, so let's try and running this, and you can see that it's running. My code is running on this port. Okay, so it's gonna be used there. Okay, now guys, I'm gonna create a React.js frontend, and in this frontend, so I'm just going to open it in integrated terminal, and I'm going to use this React.js frontend using white. I'm going to create the React.js frontend using white. Okay, let's check. So first of all, you're going to go here and white create React app. I think the method was exactly this one. So you can just go down and you can just check this one. Yeah, create white app latest. Okay, white or big, whatever you call it. So here you can see project name. So I'm just gonna say stock market app. Okay, and let's use React, plain JavaScript, and you can see that in my front end it's done. Okay, so I'm just going to open it in integrated terminal. So you can see my stock market app is now opened in integrated terminal. Okay, now here first of all what you need to do is you need to type a command npm install. So for that, Node.js must be installed to use React.js. Okay, so please make sure you do the installation part. So you can see that it's going to take a few seconds, and it's going to install all the necessary packages needed by React.js project. Okay, so once this is done, you can see that stock market app, and in the src folder we have app. Okay, and inside app some random things are written. Let me just test if it's running or not. So for that, I'm gonna type npm run dev. Okay, so here guys, you would see that it's running on localhost 5173, and it's running properly. Okay, so you can see this is by default given by React.js developers. Okay, so what I need to do is I simply need to remove this, and what you need to do is you need to have an extension which is RAFCE. I'm sorry, ES7 plus. Okay, RFC is the shortcut, ES7 plus. Okay, so you can actually install this extension. And if I just install this extension, it's going to take a few seconds and you can see it's installed. Okay, one more extension which I always use a lot is Code Runner. This extension you need to install this so that always in Python files also you can actually give this. Danish, bro, I have a question. Yes, you can ask me a question. Won't it be better to use stemming? Yes, it would be good. We can use stemming, but the kind of data set which we had, I think the simplest approach which we used was the approach of logistic regression and also the tokenization. But yeah, if you have very complex data and you have more things to analyze, not just text, then you can use different approaches. Bro, I have a question. Okay, you can ask me your question. I'm looking out for your question. Please ask me in the live chat. Okay. So here guys, what do we have is app.jsx. So here, this is the front end React.js code. Okay. So here I'm just gonna write RAFCE and this is my front end React.js code. Don't worry, I'll provide you the source code. Please wait for it. You'll understand the format. Okay. So you can see that this is my React.js code and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create somewhat a component which I can call um here I can just name it as sentiment analyzer dot JSX. Okay, so I'm creating a component. It would be actually better to create a components folder, component. Okay, and inside the component folder I'm gonna pass on this. Okay, and here I'm gonna write RFCE and I'm gonna use it here. Okay, all right. And one more thing, guys, I want to actually remove the default CSS which we get in index and app. Okay, so I remove that. Okay, now we have the file which is sentiment analyzer, which has a text. So let's see how it looks. So you can see, yeah, we have a text sentiment analyzer. Okay, right? Looks good. All right. Now, guys, what we're gonna do is we are gonna come back here and we're gonna have three things. Okay, we're gonna have three things. First of all, I'm gonna have like a use state hook which contains three things: text, sentiment, and loading. So if loading is true, that means I'm getting my request, sending it to backend, and then getting the response. So when loading is true, when loading is false, we are not doing anything. Okay. Similarly, what is the sentiment? Sentiment value, we're going to get it from backend. Once we get the value, we're going to fill in the value here. What is text? Text is what the value we are going to write in the front end. Okay. That's the text value. All right. Then guys, we are going to have a function which is analyze statement, analyze sentiment. Okay, so in analyze sentiment, I'm simply saying that if the text is empty, okay, if the text is empty, don't move any further. Okay, if text is not empty, okay, then start this. Okay, so I'm loading. Okay, that means I'm sending a request to backend. Sentiment would be false because I didn't get a response till now. So whatever sentiment was, make it false for now, make it null for now. Okay, make it null for now, not false. Okay, now whatever you response you get from this API which we created in our backend, and our backend is running on this port, right? Let me just show you. Our backend is actually running on this port, right? This is the port, right? So I'm calling this port and I'm calling the predict API which we created and I'm just providing the text which we have. Okay. And now whatever response we get, we are getting like sentiment out of it. Okay. You can just see that this is the predict API in our backend. And here you can see that in the sentiment field, we are getting positive or negative. Okay. So this is what we are getting. We are getting the sentiment field and storing it here. So sentiment here, this variable would be storing either positive text or negative text. Okay, that's what it stores. Okay, and if there is an error, we're going to show an error, and once the request is done, either true or false, either failed or completed. Finally, we are going to simply say set loading as false. Okay, this is what it means. All right, now we are going to have one more thing, which is a function to clear text. So it's kind of, suppose my request is done and so on, so I'm going to clear my text. Okay, so it's kind of a button. Okay, now guys, what we're going to do is we can actually, right now you can see it's just showing sentiment analyzer, because here we need to write a few things. Okay, so I'm gonna say that class container. Okay, and here we can just show h2 text, and here I'm just gonna say that stock market sentiment analyzer. Okay, stock market sentiment analyzer. And then here we are gonna say that whatever is the sentiment. Okay, and if I get the sentiment, you can see initially the sentiment is null, but after API request, API response, we got the sentiment, the value is passed to this. Now this is not null. Once we get this, so that's what I'm saying, if sentiment is not null, then show this part. Okay, what is this part? I'm just going to say a division and close it. And actually it's these brackets. Okay, and here I'm just gonna say that class name, and actually I can just give it conditions. Okay, so if sentiment equals positive, okay, if sentiments value equals positive, so I'm gonna show if box. Okay, I'm gonna create a CSS for positive box, else I'm gonna show negative box. Okay, that's it. Now inside this we are just going to show whatever is our sentiment. Okay, so we are just gonna say first of all a text sentiment, and here we are gonna show the sentiment value, positive or negative, whatever it is. Okay, then guys, after this we are gonna also have the text area. So it's kind of uh the area where you're gonna write the things. So whatever is the value, it's gonna be from text hook, and whenever I change it, whatever is the value I write inside this one, it's gonna be passed to my set text. Okay, set text e dot target dot value. Okay, that's it. And I'll also give it a placeholder, enter news here. Okay, and let's close it. Okay, that's how it works. And then we're gonna have a division. In this division, I'll just say that uh buttons. Okay, and inside this I'm gonna have one button, so button, and this button would be for suppose clear text. Okay, so I'll just give it a class name of clear. Okay, and similarly we are gonna have another button which is analyze. Okay, so here I'm just gonna say that if loading is true, then I'm gonna show what, analyze dot dot dot. Okay, else I'm gonna show, or else let's use a better approach. Wait, here I'll just say that if loading is true, then show a button. If not, then show another button. Okay, like this. Okay, so it's kind of the buttons when loading is true, it would be this button, and obviously we're gonna make it disabled. Okay, so let's make it disabled. Okay, like this. All right, so whenever I click on this button, I want to just say, just give it a class name. So I'll just say on click, and here we can just say that analyze sentiment. Okay, and whenever I click on this on click, I'll just say clear text. Okay, so this is it. This is the front end which we created. Now guys, for this we're gonna need a CSV file, right? Okay, I am seeing the live chat. There are some questions. A company is rising revenue and profit, but its stock price keep falling. What could be the hidden reason behind this? I'm actually not a very good stock market person, but currently, if I talk about the current stock market trends, it's actually happening because of other global trends. For example, if I give you a very good example, right now Indian stock market crashed from the Nifty crashed from 27,000 to 22,000 something. Okay, the fall of around 5,000 points was because not because Indian companies are performing poor, Tata Motors is not performing well, or these big companies like HAL is not performing well. They're really doing great. The results are also great. But the problem was the global tensions from America, the tariffs rise. So these can be the cases. And one more thing is like generally, I think global tensions can be a very good case. And other things can be like non-reliability. Like some companies are doing really great, but their past has been really bad. Like they have done some illegal task or illegal work. So they don't have very good promoters or investors. So in that case also they won't get a proper stock price lift. Okay, even they have good revenue or profit, but some cases are like that. Or if you have a very good example like Reliance, a very good company, it has profits, it has a very good revenue, it's the biggest company in India. But the problem with that company is most of the people have invested it for safe purpose. So generally a lot of people don't extract money from Reliance shares. Okay, they don't sell that share a lot. Okay, so that's why Reliance stock never moves that much, okay, or never falls that much. Okay, so these are different cases, different examples which I told you. Okay, imagine a stock that is guaranteed to go up exactly 1% every day, but zero volatility. Yeah, but it can be a Ponzi scheme. Okay, right. All right. So now enough of talks. Let me just write CSS of it. So here I'm gonna create a CSS file, sentiment analysis.css. Okay, analyzer.css. Okay, right. And I'm gonna use this CSS file here. So let's use this. So import and all right. So import this CSS file. Okay, so I'm just importing the CSS from here, from this file, and automatically I'm gonna target these classes. Okay, so like what I'm gonna give is I'm gonna give some basic CSS here. Okay, so just some basic CSS and nothing much. So you can see that I've given a body and then a container and container h2 and positive negative box. Positive box would be green, negative would be reddish, and then text area would be having some styles. If it's focus, it's gonna get blue border color. It has buttons. Okay, so buttons, inside this buttons we have two buttons actually. So first button is gonna, like, each button is gonna take this much space. So the analyze button is gonna have this background color. Okay, clear button is gonna have this background color. Okay, and loading button is gonna have this background color. Okay, and yeah, if the size is very small, I'm just saying that the it would shrink. Okay, it would shrink. That's it. Now let's see the UI now. So you can see that the UI actually looks like this. One problem here is it's going out. The problem is because of one thing, which is here. I'm just gonna say box sizing as border box. Okay, let's see. One more thing is in app.jsx, I'm just gonna import dot slash app.css. Okay, let's see now. Yes, now you can see it works well. Now here, guys, what you can see is you can just add your news. Okay, you can just add your news. So let me just add the news. I can just say that suppose the news is what, loss, downtrend, and bad news. Let's try this. Okay, so if I click on analyze, if I'm clicking on analyze, let's see, there might be some issue. You can just go to console and you can see Axios is not defined. So we gotta install Axios. Okay, let's install Axios. So in this front end, I'm just gonna type npm Axios. Okay. So we have used Axios for calling our backend API. That's why we need Axios. Okay. Now if I just save this and let's call it again. And if I analyze, so Axios is not defined. We need to import it also. Okay. We haven't imported it. So Axios, so control and space. Um, just a minute. I think I used the wrong method. Let me just check. Is it the method? Yes, you can use npm Axios and you can just see, yeah, import Axios from Axios. Okay, I think it's fine. It's fine. So let's see. So now let me just refresh and now let's add the news again. Let's say that the news is this one. Analyze negative. Okay, so you got the negative sentiment. And similarly, if I pass a positive news, analyze sentiment is positive. Okay, so this is how it actually works. A pretty simple project to identify positive and negative. If you give a proper bigger sentence, it would identify. But I would say you need a more better data set so that you can have better responses. Okay, so now one more thing that I would like to tell you is, if in some case you provide a negative sentence, it might give positive sentiment because of our data set. If you have much more better data set, it would be way more accurate than this. Okay, so please keep this in mind. The code is correct, the model is exactly correct, but the data set which we have used is small and also a little bit more biased towards the positive side. Okay, so in some cases, even if you are providing negative news, it's gonna say positive in some cases because of our data set. So if in future you have a better data set, you're definitely gonna get better results here. Okay, so guys, this was the project. Now I'm going to simply upload this whole project into my GitHub repo. So please wait and I'll share you the repo link. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a repository and I'm just going to name this repository as stock market analysis and news analysis. And whatever are my AI projects, I'm just gonna mark it with AI underscore so that it's better. Okay, so create, and this repo would be created. So guys, this is the repository. I'll upload the source code when I end this session. So what you need to do is you can just go to my GitHub profile, github.com/viraj014, and in the repositories you would find AI stock market news analysis. Okay, or you can search the repository here. Inside that, I'm going to provide you the complete source code. Once we end the session, I'm going to upload the source code here. Okay, so one more thing before ending this session, I would like to tell you one more thing, which is you can just check out the description and just check out this link. So it's a kind of you can say a hackathon. Okay, and you can actually grab this opportunity to unleash your creativity and win amazing prizes. So you can read more info about this, and it's related to AI and like you can just challenge yourself to create innovative applications, agents, and agentic application using LLMs to solve real world problems. So you can register now and you can win this prize today. And like the registration is here. So if you register, you can just see that from 17 to 6th May you can register. And these are some details which you can fill if you want. Okay, now we can end this, and this is all about the session. Please check out this link and you can read more details here for a better understanding. Right, so that's it for today guys. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I will upload the source code once this session ends. So till then, have a good day. Please tell me more suggestions if you want more projects like AI, and you can also suggest me train a model on this data set. And like definitely feel free to reach me via GitHub, or you can also contact me via LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is also mentioned here. Okay, so you can give me awesome suggestions on awesome AI projects, and we are ready to build that. Okay, so that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Till then, say a good day. Bye bye.